Hello Wolfpack, Bitcoin is in a very interesting position in which it's going to be seeing a breakout of this triangular formation or breakout above or below these two resistance lines and support lines in about 24 hours, a little bit under 24 hours to be precise with you. Well, within the next 24 hours, you should be looking at this chart, right? You should be paying attention to Bitcoin because it's going to begin its move. Where is it going to move to? Well, firstly, it's either going to move upwards towards the bull market support band, as we kind of suggested in yesterday's video, which is at 43k currently. So Bitcoin's either going to move upwards like this to the bull market support band, or it's going to move downwards to this lower dotted uptrending line. If we take a look at the daily chart, we can see that a bit more clearly, right? We can see it's going to move upwards here to the bull market support band, which we have on the chart here. It hasn't played out too well. Move upwards to the bull market support band, or it's going to move downwards to the dotted line. That is the move we are expecting within the next 24 hours. Now, it won't reach those targets in 24 hours, but the move is going to be kind of declared in the next 24 hours when it breaks either above or below these major lines here. So very interesting time in the market. We are on the edge of our seats here, quite literally waiting to see what's going to happen. Now, as for determining what's going to happen, there are lots of mixed signals here in the market, right? We've kind of lost everything on Bitcoin. We're below everything right now. Below Ichimoku, just kind of slightly holding on, I guess you could say. But we are below, for example, Gaussian channel. We're below the market support band, below the 50 and the 200 day. If we go to the weekly chart, we can see we're also below the 50 week. So we're below, basically a lot of our major dynamics support lines, which are now resistance lines, right? And now all we're kind of holding on to and all we're clinging to is this uptrending line. Let me just fix it up. This uptrending line that we've been holding on to since around January, right? That is just barely holding on now on Bitcoin. And so that is the line that we're kind of relying on holding here. As you can see on the 4-hourly chart, we're just kind of holding on, just barely. And if we kind of continue closing below it a little bit, we had a few deviations here, but it's a bit of a vague trend line. If we close below it on the daily chart, for sure, that's going to be a confirmed breakout to the downside. And that's going to lead to a retest of this uptrending dotted line. And then past that dotted line, which by the way is a little bit speculative, we only have two tests of that dotted line here and here. Past that dotted line, we're going straight to 30k, right? So let me just say, if Bitcoin breaks downwards out of this formation, out of this two solid line ascending channel formation, what does that mean? Well, it means it's a bear flag, right? Because this move, this entire move on Bitcoin downwards is a bear flag formation, right? If we're measuring it like this, apply it to the breakout point, you can see that Bitcoin's actually targeting around 21k from that bear flag formation. And it's targeting that in around May. Now, I don't think it will reach that price region in May, but that's what the structure is saying, right? The structure is very bearish quite clearly. And so we don't want to be breaking this to the downside. However, as predicted since 63k, I think Bitcoin's in a bear market. And so ultimately, I do think it will break to the downside. It's just a question of whether it reaches the bull market support band first, right? Because in order to be bullish on Bitcoin again, in order for Bitcoin to actually flip bullish, we need to be breaking above a 200-day SMA, which is currently at 48k. And you can ask, why is that? And I'll show you right now. Now, we can see a bit of a familiar trend going on Bitcoin with the 200-day moving average. Now, this is the daily chart here. This is the 2018 cycle. What we can see happening in the 2018 cycle is an uptrending line formed. We lost the 200-day. We came back up, retested it for resistance, rejected off of it, dropped below the yellow line, came back up again, rejected again, and then ultimately crashed on Bitcoin, okay? What are we doing now? We're doing something very similar. We have an uptrending line. Okay, we've lost the 200. We came back up, rejected off of it. Now we can expect to lose this yellow line, come back, reject off it one more time before consolidating and crashing just like 2018. There's a very similar structure going on in 2018 here regarding the 200-day SMA. And so in order to invalidate this structure that's going on, we need to break above the 200-day. And that's kind of goes in saying, in order to invalidate the bear market, we need to break above the 200-day moving average, right? The 200-day moving average is at 48k. And so unless Bitcoin breaks above 48k, it's still in a bear market. It's still very bearish, and it's still in an ascending channel formation, which is a bearish formation. So I don't have high hopes for Bitcoin right now, in the short or medium term, or even, for the rest of 2022, to be honest with you. But when it comes to determining, when this drop will happen, we'll get into that right now after a quick little announcement about the Crypto Academy. Now, Mega Whale Crypto and myself, Wolves of Crypto, have been working very hard over the last, 4 months now to create a trading course, a learn to trade course. And we've come up with Become a Trader, a 10-unit course here that goes over all of the information relevant for you to become a real trader on almost a professional level. This is structured in the same way a university course is structured. The quality of the content is way better than anything else you're going to get out there. Here's a little unit overview of what you will receive, right? We have 10 units here. accumulatively, we're looking at about 300 or 400 slides with about, probably 15 hours of video content. And then we also have worksheets for all of those units so you can consolidate that information and memorize it quite well. This is kind of the most extensive learn to trade course you're going to come across, and it's definitely covering everything. So if you want information on that, go ahead and check out the email address here. That's cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com. Send us an email. We'll send you more extensive course information, and we'll send you the price and payment information as well. Go ahead and check that out. We've been working really hard on that. If you're interested in becoming a trader on a kind of professional level in a university style course, this is for you. So go ahead and check that out. Now, the 3-day chart on Bitcoin, looking at the same chart we just looked at, we can see something a little bit more in-depth, and this is kind of giving us an idea of when we will drop, right? And I've spoken about this quite a bit. It's relating to the cross that happened in 2018 between the 50 and the 200 on the 3-day chart. As soon as those two dynamic kind of lines there crossed, those moving averages crossed, we saw a 50% correction on Bitcoin over the course of a month and a half. Now, assuming that happens again, which is kind of happening, right? We're seeing compression between the 50 and the 200, just like in 2018. Assuming that happens again, when these lines cross, which will be in around May, right? Mid-May, we will see a 50% correction on Bitcoin. Let's ignore this fractal for a second, and let's just get it down to that key point. When these lines cross, there is a solid chance. I don't know if it's my prediction, but it's just an observation that I'm making. I don't know. Again, look, I've said it in the past. I think the bottom will come in at November to December, right? This is just an observation. It could happen like this. This is a different scenario. When these lines cross in mid-May, there is a chance that we could be crashing down quite heavily on Bitcoin to a low level like 30K or even below that before eventually bottoming out on 200-week SMA at around 24K, right? So this drop could come as soon as May. As soon as next month, we could be seeing a sharp, violent crash. It's interesting. You should keep an eye on it. As for the weekly chart, we've lost the 50-week SMA, which, as you guys would know, is kind of a critical line. Every time we lose the 50-week SMA, historically, in a bear market, in a macro bear market, you end up at the 200-week SMA. 200-week SMA is at 24K right now. We've lost the 50-week. Not only have we lost it, we've actually lost it, come back up, failed to hold it, and lost it again, which is even more bearish than just, keeping it lost in the first place. So yeah, pretty bearish macro right now for sure. And that kind of ties us back into the daily chart, and it kind of ties us back into what we should be expecting on a daily. Now, I know in the last video I said it's probably more likely we go to 43K before dropping. I kind of still stand by that, but again, I'm really not confident in any of those scenarios. I'm not sure what's going to happen here in the short term. What I am sure of and what I am confident in is the fact that give it a week, or give it, maybe a week and a half, and we will be below this ascending channel formation. So as for the next week, who knows, right? We've got oversold stochastic RSI. RSI itself's not really telling us too much. MACD's primed for a bullish cross. It's still in bullish territory as well. Histogram doesn't look too bad. As for this 4-hourly chart, we're on major support. Volume's not telling us anything right now either. Ichimoku Cloud's barely holding on. There's not really many indicators we can kind of see in the short term that are determining whether we go up or down right now. That's why it's hard to tell. But what I would say is that, again, within the next week and a half or so, we should be below this channel. Regardless of what happens next, regardless of whether we go to 43K first or whether we drop down now, we should be below this channel within the next week and a half or so. So look, short term, honestly, anything could happen in the short term. I'd probably lean more towards the 43K scenario before I drop. But, as I said, within the next week and a half or so, maybe 2 weeks, we're going to be below this channel. That is what the TA suggests. That is the most likely scenario according to the data. And that's what I'm going to go with here on Bitcoin. So very interesting time in the market. We're on a knife's edge, and we're probably going to be moving down even further. And I think that not many bullish arguments are going to survive once we drop down below this channel. I'm not really sure how they're surviving already, right? We're in a kind of a bear flag formation, a macro downwards trend during a pre-recession rally on the S&P 500. It's not a very good market environment to be bullish in, and so yeah, I won't be bullish in this environment, unfortunately. But let's see what happens. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Remember, next 24 hours there's going to be a decision on Bitcoin. Keep an eye on it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.